Hey folks, today we're going to open up the first featured template by dragging it to InDesign 2017. This program is on the computer here, so you shouldn't have to worry about any web-based management. And by the end of today, you're going to make a full page layout complete with a bleed image, a headline, a byline, and your feature that you wrote about your classmates. So let's go over some basic vocabulary for InDesign. This is a publishing software. You have a toolbar. If you do not see this toolbar, you're going to go up to Window and make sure that Tools is checked off. While you're there, go ahead and click the Links panel so that that is showing, and that should be good enough for us to start right now. Now, you'll see that I created this on this computer, so my Links panel shows that I have one linked photo to this space. Yours should show a red exclamation point because that photo does not exist on your computer. Let's talk a little bit about the photo box. So you'll see that when I hover over it, this hand shows up. So I can move the photo around in the box to make it reveal more or less. The blue frame works like a crop tool, except for that it doesn't actually crop or ruin or destroy the photo. It just changes what's revealed to the viewer. So I'm going to use Command- to zoom out so that you can see this red line that extends the boundary of the page. That's called the bleed line. And in publications, we need that line so that we know when we print, everything will extend to that line so that we won't get any extra white space in the publication. So I'm going ahead, and you'll notice that by extending that line, I'm not ruining the aspect ratio of the photo at all. I've just changed the window. Now, my quick shortcuts are W to see what the page will look like when I print, and you see how it goes right off the edge in a full bleed. And sure, I can move that up a little bit. So we're going to show you how to make this today. Okay, so let's start from scratch. I went File, New Document, and you guys will set up a template for the Raven Report, and it's probably already made somewhere, but so you know how to make it yourself, you're always going to work in inches, and I believe your publication is 8.25 by 10.25, but don't quote me on that. We're going to go down here and we're going to add a bleed of 0.125, and you're always going to work that way. Now I'm going to place some text. I'm going to place a photo. So I'm going to say File, Place. And I notice that I have a shortcut here, Command D. So what that allows me to do is it allows me to go and find this text file, and it lets me click and drag. But this is without any guidance. So before I do that, I want to select Layout, Margins and Columns, and I'm going to make 3 columns. Okay, now I can go ahead and I can click and drag, making sure to hit the lines of my column. I'm going to fill it up with what's called placeholder text. So this is written in Latin, and that is so that you can make your layout and you can play around with different layouts, but you'll never go to press because this won't pass spell check. So I also have this red plus button, which means that my article continues. So if I click that, it loads the cursor, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line that back up, and I'm going to click and drag again and do it one more time to fill my page. Now, your article probably is not this long, so this is really for the future. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a picture. So I'm going to go ahead and use my shortcut this time, Command D, and I'm going to go ahead and look for my photo. Now, let's say I don't have a photo on here, so I'm going to go to my phone, which you can't see. I'm going to airdrop myself a picture, and I want you to see what that looks like so I can show you what I recommend you doing. You airdrop it, and when you accept it, I want you to save it to downloads. Don't mess with iPhoto. It takes too long. And now you know it's right there in your downloads. Okay, so I'm going to go Command D. Okay, Command D, go to downloads. Here's the photo that I just dropped in there. And I'm going to do a full bleed, which means I'm going to start it up here at the red line. It's going to go off the page, and I'm going to drag it all the way across. Now that goes into my into my writing, so that's not going to work. Also, my son's going to kill me that I let you guys see this, but that's okay. So let me go ahead and we'll get a different photo just so that he doesn't want to kill us. So you'll see when I released the photo or deleted it, it kept the photo frame. So that means I can now place into that same box using the correct photo which is this one where they're laughing at each other. And it filled the exact same space. Now, if I want to crop it, I can move this up and I can pull down some sky. I can see the extent of the full photo behind the frame. So I can go ahead and move that up and get more of the foreground and let the sky bleed off the page. And again, if I hit W, you see what it will look like. But there's not room for a headline. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to make these equal. And just for sake of demo, let's pretend that the headline of this article is Miss Snow, or let's say new dog for Media Center. Okay, that's a really bad example. But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my headlines type size up here, and I got really lucky on that. If you don't get the right size right off the bat, you can highlight the number and do your arrows up and down, and we call these scrubby sliders. So you can set the spacing or the sizing just the way you like it. Now I should work not in preview mode, so I want to make sure that this is lined up. I want to make sure that my frames are all tight fitting. See how I have extra frame here? If I double right click that bottom corner, it helps me make my frames nice and clean. And then I want to add a sub headline. So that tells me a little bit more about this dog for the Media Center. Will the dog be allowed in the Media Center? Or how about instead of saying, okay, this is a little silly, but this is not what my article is about. But okay, so I'm going to move this over. Again, I'm going to double click bottom right corner to make my frame come in. I'm going to change this to Dog Days of Summer. Okay, so again, not the best headline, but you get the idea. Again, use my scrubby slider to make my font bigger. You'll notice the whole box disappeared, but this little red plus tells me that there's text in there. So I can go ahead and make the box bigger. And then you want to try to fill up the space. So this is where it gets really fun or really maddening, depending on how you look at it. But I like to go ahead and make everything perfect. So I'm going to go all the way over to there. I've got my subhead now that is going into the ascenders or the descenders of my font. And then I need what's called a byline. So I'm going to make my subhead a little bit bigger. Okay, and I will do this demo live, so you will have seen it. But now I also need my byline, which is who the article is by. And so I have the byline right here, which means that I'm going to put my name right here. You'll put your name right there. And that means that my article is just about ready. Now, you don't want text crashing into itself right here, so we're constantly going to be moving things, and we're going to keep everything in line, okay? So once I do that, I'm going to go to my preview mode, and you'll see that I have a pretty decent layout that's ready to go to press. Now, it's not perfect, so if you can get this far, that's great, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you a couple more things. One thing is that we work in 12-point font when we're turning in things for Google Drive and when we're turning in essays for MLA format, but in journalism, everything prints a little bit bigger. So your standard size should be 9-point font with an 11-point leading. Okay, so your journalism folks talked a little bit about using the word lead, L-E-D-E versus L-E-A-D, and that's because we have the leading, which used to be where they placed actual pieces of lead between the lines. You want to develop a 9-11 approach to your text so that it looks professional, and then you're going to justify it with the last line aligned left, and that really makes it look like a sharp article. So what we have here now is a page that's ready to go. And in order to print it, you need to do a couple of things. So first, you're going to save as, and you should save it as _ last name, first name. And then I would do like RR 2020. So that's Raven Report 2020. Okay. And you're going to save it as an InDesign document so that you can come back and edit this. But in order for Miss Snow to print it, you are going to go File, export, and you are going to select Adobe Print, select your desktop, and then that means you're going to hit Page Export, and then you're going to airdrop it to Miss Snow when you're ready, and that way we're going to print them and have them ready for tonight. Okay, so that's the very first layout lesson for the year. It's probably a review for some of you. What gets really fun is that you get to go in here and you can play with your fonts. Now, your publication will eventually have fonts decided for you, but you can go ahead and mess around and see how fun it is and get really excited about different design elements. And then, of course, we gave you a template so that you can feel very secure if this is overwhelming, which it very well may be. So let's take a second to look at that. Okay, if you're using the template here, you can go ahead and click the picture. You'll see the gold frame shows you the entire picture. The blue frame is what is revealed. You can hit delete and insert your own picture. You can double click with the text and you'll see that it activates the T tool, in which case you can put your headline here. This is a byline, which means who the article is by, not who it's about, right? So come up with something clever about your classmate and then put by your name. Notice there's no colon, there's no comma, and then you put your article right here. So this is, again, a template that's already ready for you to go, and I will be here to help answer any questions. Thanks for listening.